good. So, when you watch a cricket match, which is a friendly match, is it really exciting? Hello? No. So, friendly match is not exciting. So, when a team plays for cup, it's really exciting, it's really thrilling, and it's really challenging. So, the thing is, competition is very good. It's a game. We need to look at it as a game. And in today's context, everybody talks about winning. Nobody really bothers about what kind of effort goes beyond it. Everybody wants you to be a winner, and nobody really concerned about the kind of effort we are putting. Yes or no? So winning is no longer an option. It is necessary for survival. Yes or no? But again, is it okay if you win only once? Hello? You need to win every single time. So what is that particular person is called as? A person who keeps winning. Champions, right? So winning is no longer, why don't you clap for her? Winning is no longer an option. So it is necessary for survival, and you need to keep on winning. So the question here is, the moment you hear the word competition, we tend to react in a different way. So what are the general reaction that we have? We think that it is a threat to business, right? Oh my God, I'm going to have some tough time now. The second thing that we immediately think about is now that there's going to be another competitor in the marketplace, so I need to reduce the price, so my profit will definitely go down. The third thing that we talk about is, okay, I have a few set of customers. We have for many stores. The number of stores are more than the customers that we actually have. So we're going to disappear. The customer's going to lose. We're going to lose customers. The customer's going to go out. And it doesn't really give you that kind of a motivation. It actually demotivates you, right? So this is the kind of reaction we tend to do. So in this particular scenario, there are typically two solutions that we have. One is called the panic solution. So companies, people, we tend to do a different kind of result. So what is that first thing that we do? So we also cut price. We automatically, when you're reducing the price, the quality has to go down. So you reduce the quality. The third thing that is that overall we talk about how's the business, we tend to be too negative. Everywhere around we keep talking only about the negative thing. And we start talking bad about our competitor. This competition is not good. We keep talking about backbiting. We talk about negative things, and eventually end up reducing a huge amount of money, and then when automatically we really don't position ourselves in the right way. So what are the positive solutions that we have? So in this presentation, I'm going to really look at the first part is about what is competition, how do we really look at it, how do we really prepare our mental and emotional being, and then what are the strategies that we need to look at it. The second part I'm going to tell you, I'm going to leave you with three important points with wonderful stories. One from the international companies, another from the door next door, and some of the local companies. I want to share with you a few stories, and then you can walk away with those 3 points. Is that okay? Yeah? Fine. So what are the positive solutions that we have? The positive solution is you come up with something new. So from the morning, we've been talking about innovation. We've been listening to all those people, how the industry is getting disrupted. Rajiv was talking about 50% of this SMB. SMB business is the term that you use in the US. Here we talk about MSME or SME. The small, medium companies are going to be out of business, 50% of them the next 5 years down the line. It's really shocking news. So until we come up with something new, it's very, very difficult. The second thing that we're talking about is that people don't mind spending. Yes or no? Hello? People don't mind spending. You go to a 5-star hotel, you order for a pot tea. When I say pot tea, you have to do all the work. Yes or no? Yeah? Yes or no? So you do all of that, and you go out and say that I had tea at Taj, I had tea at Radisson Blu, and you keep going talking about everything because you saying that because you're feeling so happy about it. You're feeling so good that you spend so much of money. There's a tea which is available in the Oberoi's, I believe, in Delhi. The tea is going to cost you 43,000 rupees. Okay? And a kilo of tea bag, if you want to buy, I think it's going to cost you somewhere around 8 lakhs or 9 lakhs rupee. Okay? So why do people go and buy? Because they feel that there is a value in it. So can you create a value for your product? The third thing is about you don't talk about negativity at all. You talk about business is good, everything is good. We enjoy the competition because we keep updating ourselves every single day. We want to go and fight in the marketplace because we are not really bothered about what's happening around because we are prepared. So you keep talking about the positivity out of it. And the fourth thing that you do is you keep on educating your customers. Why do they need to pay more? When somebody is paying 43,000 rupees for a tea, that means there is a difference. We don't know what is the difference, but somebody's bought over the concept, they like about it, and they're ready to pay for it. So can you go and educate your customers about what are the new aspects that we're talking about? And technological innovation is something which we've been talking from morning till now. Try and figure out what is the kind of a customer that you're looking at. Don't try to compete with every single segment. It doesn't really work. Narrow down your customer. Keep that focus on. I'm sure all of us are used to this selfies and photograph. You keep expanding your fingers because you need to focus on certain things so that you can get a bigger picture. The same way, identify who exactly is your competitor. Then, of course, the conventional way of breaking the competition into smaller parts, minor parts, figuring out what is that one good thing about the competition, what is that one good thing about you, and do the other way around and try and figure out what are the various opportunities that's in front of you, what are the things that you need to be cautious about, and all of that in the form of a SWOT. Finally, try and educate your customer in terms of what is the value for money, emphasizing on the value for money that they're going to get out of it. This is some of the things which I'm on the theory part of it. So how do we really handle competition? I just love this particular quote. It says, in business, the competition will bite you if you keep running. If you stand still, they will swallow you. Said by the former president of Ford. So you cannot be just taking things lightly. Every single day you need to be looking at what's the competition is actually doing. So how do we really look at this? You need to look at it closer. Who's your competitor? When I say who's your competitor, the competition comes in two different ways. One is the direct competition, another one is the indirect competition. So what is the direct competition? It's a comparison between an apple to apple, a kind of a product mission, product positioning, what kind of a mix that is into, and then try to compare about what is your product offering. So it could probably come in different forms, in the form of price, service. You can see a whole lot of list into this. So this is the way that you compare your company with another company. What is an indirect competitor? Similar product. When I say indirect competition, I would like to say, if somebody asks you who's a competitor for Nestle, automatically you will say Cadbury. So who's a competitor for Cadbury's? You will say Nestle. But the whole lot of sweet shops that is in Bangalore, it's also a competitor. Yes or no? Yeah? So that's an indirect competition. So you need to figure out who exactly is your competitor. So if you really look at this particular grid, there are four categories here I'm talking about. One, you have a direct competitor who's actually right head on. Then you have an indirect competitor, which is the substitute product. You possibly a potential competitor. That's where we're talking about disruption. You know, what could happen in the future? How can we? That's what is coming into the big box. And finally, if there is indirect competition, there is potential, you're actually obsolete. You're no more relevant to the marketplace. Having said that, I want to leave with this. If I have to talk about competition, anybody have to talk about competition, you need to talk about this gentleman called Sun Tzu, and there's a beautiful book by name, Art of War, okay, which is written about 2,500 year BC. So if you know about you, and if you know about your competition, you will never be in danger. So know about your enemy, and know about yourself, you will never be in danger. That's what he says. Now, how can you really focus on? Keep growing your company. Keep looking at your competition. So what is the first thing that you need to do? I'm going to leave you strategy right now. The first thing is make winning as a habit. What is make winning as a habit? I'm sure all of us love cricket. A few years back, the Australian cricket coach, John Buchanan, was asked in an interview, what did you tell your people every single time the Australia cricket team comes in, they win? What is the strategy? He says, like the moment I took over as a coach, I had a meeting with all the boys in the team and I said, make winning as a habit. And what do you mean by make winning as a habit? And he was talking about the famous test match between India and Australia in Eden Gardens. On the third day evening, Ricky Ponting and McGraw was talking that they wanted to go in any way because India was in a really in deep trouble time at that point of time. They were following it on, already 3 wickets down. So Ricky Ponting and McGraw was actually talking, tomorrow morning in any which way the game will be over and we can go to this pub and this bar and this discotheque. They were talking about that. And the next day, you know what happened? What happened? VVX Lakshman and Rahul Dravid took the match away. So John Buchanan said this story and told the press reporters on the third day of the match, we were actually thinking about celebrating. We were not thinking about winning. So if you start focusing on making winning as a habit, you will never lose focus on what you need to do. So that is something that you need to do. And a lot of people together today, there's something called co-opetition. What is co-opetition? All the competing companies, not very big enough to fight for all the major companies. The small guys, they all form together as an association, and they start procuring. All the major outlets or major electronic stores today, you can't compete with them on a price. A smaller outlet cannot compete with them on a price. So what do? They all form together in different locations, and they go and have this purchase power to buy bigger. So that's called co-opetition. So if I have to talk about competition, I have to talk about these two companies. Yes or no? Yeah? It's called Cola War. And Coca-Cola keeps telling everybody, in the morning, you get a call from the sales manager about anybody who works in the sales street. They ask, how are you feeling today? He says, I'm feeling good. What is your plan today? I want to go and fight in the market. Then the third thing that the Coca-Cola manager will say, paint the city red. Paint the city red. So what is Pepsi doing now? So if you really look at it, the first strategy I want to leave you with, identify what is your core and how can you communicate your core to the audience or the customers, right? That's the first point that I want to leave you with. So let's look at this example. So if you look at Pepsi, when Pepsi is a later enter into the marketplace. So Pepsi really made it big when they started communicating the choice of new generation. You remember this word called choice of new generation? And they said, let your grandfather and grandmother can drink Coca-Cola, you are young, so you need to drink Pepsi. And what did they do? This is a gentleman called Roger Enrico. He was a former CEO of PepsiCo. He is the one who actually went and signed Michael Jackson for that particular brand. And that he wrote in this book called The Other Guy Blinked. Because both of them are fighting to get Michael Jackson endorsed. Okay? And he wrote in this book, The Other Guy Blinked, so he got it. Right? So that made the choice of new generation. The second thing that everybody knows about in India, cricket is a religion. And when World Cup was happening in India, Coca-Cola was fighting, and they got this deal called official about it. The official sponsor is Coca-Cola. And the next day, Pepsi came and said, nothing official about it. Right? So, which became much more famous than the other thing. So the second strategy I want to leave you with is in terms of identifying and communicating. I want to leave you with a local story. This is a particular brand, I'm sure you know. It's one of the costliest ghee available in the marketplace. All the other competitors sells at 570 rupees. This brand called Lambison, it's from a very small place called Erode. It is an 82-year-old brand, originated from Kerala. And they sell it for a price of 720 rupees. And what is the communication they wanted to communicate? In what way they are different? For a ghee to happen from a butter, it takes about 4 hours. For them, it takes 4 days, because that's the conventional way you need to do manufacture ghee. It's about 80-year-old concept, 90-year-old practice. So what is they wanted to communicate? They want to communicate this to all the other people in the marketplace. When ghee bottle came in a sealed, which is called shrink skin, these people came up with the open package. People can see it, people can feel that there is a difference in this particular ghee. And that is what they've done. So they went to Germany, they imported, they bought all the processing facility, and then they came up with this wonderful container, and this came as one of the most innovative container, and they got the award for that as well. So that's another way of looking at it. The second point that I want to leave you with is, what is the kind of segment that you're fighting for? What is segment? In a simple term, you can buy watches for about 50 rupees on the street to maybe 5 crore rupees, a designer watch with the diamond studded and all of that. You can buy a shirt for about 50 rupees, and you can also buy a shirt for 5,000 rupees. So which shirt market that you're catering to? What is your customer? Who's your customer? You need to be very, very clear about that particular segment. So here, identify what kind of segment that you're competing with, and then try and communicate. I want to take you a story about this particular brand. How many of you know about this particular brand? Any idea? Okay, it's very famous in the Middle East. It's from Dubai. There's a company called Western International Group. And there's a brand which is called G-Pass. It's about $4 billion company today, a zero-debt company. They have multiple businesses. So this particular brand, if you look at it, any of the expat community in the Middle East, whether it is India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Filipino, all of them know this product. If you want to buy one of the market leader in this particular segment, the cost will be almost 5 times more than this particular product. They sell it at a much cheaper price because they don't borrow money, they don't have to pay anybody interest. So they directly pass on to the customer, and their product is extremely good. So what is their focus? Their focus is trying to become a B brand first. Let's not try and fight with the A brands. There are bigger brands. Let's try and focus on B brands first. So the concept here is, you have to identify what is the brand that you're looking at, what is the kind of segment that you're looking at, and ensure that is communicated to people time and time again. The third message that I want to leave you with is, again, we can pick up a lot of lessons on consumer behavior, on understanding how the consumer behaves and all of that from street vendors. Do you agree with me? Yes or no? Yeah? So a few years back, I went to this Pani Puri shop in Coimbatore. I'm basically from Coimbatore. So there was a street with a lot of Pani Puri shop on one particular road. So I went there, and suddenly I looked, one particular outlet was slightly looking different compared to the other outlet. So when I walked near to that outlet, that owner identified me as a new customer. So he immediately said, come over to me. So I went next to him. He immediately gave me a puri, and he said, generally people give one puri because it's so crowded. What do? Give one, and by the time you bite, they'll make something, they'll probably buy some time. So what did he say? He said, Nassar, have a look at it. I mean, he said, sir, have a look at it. He didn't know my name by any chance. So I said, what do you mean? You want me to taste it or you want me to look at it? He said, look at it. I said, I looked at it. What is so different about it? He said, look at the shape of the puri. It's exactly so circle. I said, how come? He said, no, see, we use machines to cut this, which is not now, I'm talking about 15 years back. He said, we use machine to cut it. Okay. And then he went on to say everything about how he prepares. He talks about the oil that he uses. He was actually, it was relatively a hygiene setup. He was having a gloves and all of that. So the question here is, after giving so much of education, he also given me a little bit of threat. He says, if you eat somewhere else, this will not be good. If you eat somewhere else, that will not be good. And you may have to go and spend some money to your doctor. So next time, if at all you want to think about having a pani puri, what options you have in front of you? You have to go to this place because you already started thinking about going to the doctor and so on and so forth. So the point that I want to leave you is, educate your customer. The next time when I went to this outlet, this fellow was not even bothered about me because he started looking at somebody new coming into that outlet because he wants to communicate and educate the customer as well. So that's the 3 points I want to leave you with. First is identify and communicate. Second is focus on your exact segment that you're competing with. And the third thing that I want to leave you with, how do you educate your customers? So I want to leave you with a few questions if you're really interested. What is the first step that you need to do after you go back from here? Answer these questions, do a little bit of homework, and you can get a clear picture about what exactly you need to be doing. Finally, a company which is very, very close to his customer, and a company has got so much of a bonding as a team in your company because everybody needs to speak the same language, that can never have to be worried about competition. So the quote goes and says, an organization which excels in teamwork is the darling of its customers and a terror to its competitor. Thank you very much.